I feel like every week people are talking about a new thing that Sydney Sweeney is doing. First, it was the bathwater or soap, and now it's the jeans thing she's doing with American Eagle. But it's not new women, young women specifically, trying to sell things via sex online. Sex sells. And Sydney Sweeney is not unique in that. I could list a number of pop stars and actors where their brand is trying to get you to desire them sexually. It generally looks like this. There is a woman or girl in pop culture. She's an actor, she's a YouTuber, she's someone in culture. And what is her desire? Well, she wants money and she wants attention. She wants money and she wants attention. And she knows there is a subset of men that will give her both those things. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how these women steal your masculine energy and power and the men that are most vulnerable to this seduction. As always, before we jump in, my name is Isaac, and this is Men on Mission, where I equip you to lead and love like Jesus. I want to let you know that we do video calls every single week on our Kindred Brothers Club on Patreon. If you want to join them, we chat about all sorts of real life, vulnerable, raw stuff. And I just think it would be a blessing for you. It also helps support the ministry as well. So join us there. I'd love to see you on our next call. I want you to stay with me here. I'm going to paint a very specific picture and you tell me if you relate to this, if you connect to this. So we have these women that are interested in these two things, these attention and money. And we could go into the psychological, spiritual background of these women and why they crave these things so much, and kind of the emptiness or the holes within themselves that they're trying to fill, and we could go into all that. But nonetheless, basically what they're looking for these things. And so there's a subset of men, like I said, that is vulnerable to this kind of seduction. They just are. Before I get more specific about why these men are particularly vulnerable and to see if you are one of those men, we need to recognize that these kind of men, a lot of us, we desire something. We desire something that these women can give us, or at least a form of, and that is escape and fantasy. Escape and fantasy. So in some ways you might be looking at this and you say, okay, this isn't the most ideal exchange, but it is a fair exchange because after all, you know, this woman, she wants attention, she wants money, she wants popularity, she wants fame, whatever else, and you want to escape. You want the fantasy. So then your attention is what you pay for that escape. But here's the thing, beneath the surface, it's not that we're just exchanging our attention and our money. It's that we are exchanging our power, our energy, and our desire for an escape and a fantasy that doesn't heal, solve, or fix any of our problems. It leaves us exactly where we were, actually worse off now. Hey, quick thing before we get back in the video. If you find yourself struggling with pornography at all, and you want a way to break free, you know it's time to make a change in your life, I want to offer you Covenant Eyes. Covenant Eyes is an accountability software that has proven to help men and women break free from pornography all across the world. As I mentioned, it's an accountability software, and I want to offer it to you today, 30 days free. This is an affiliate link, so it helps out the ministry as well. And truly, I believe that this is going to be game-changing in your fight against pornography and this temptation. So just sign up. If you don't like it, you can always cancel it. But I do believe that this is going to be helpful for you. Now, let's get back in the video. Proverbs 31 speaks to this. It says, do not give your strength to women. Do not give your strength to women. Your ways to those who destroy kings. These women, they will destroy kings. They will destroy kings. So I did a little bit of research into this. Who wrote this? Now, if you look into this chapter specifically, you'll notice that it's not listed as Solomon wrote it. It's listed in another name, but a lot of scholars believe it was just another name or a different kind of translation for King Solomon. So I wanted to do a little bit of a deep dive. Like, did King Solomon adhere to this advice? Actually, ironically, he didn't at all. Like, you look at his life, King Solomon, he had 700 wives. He had 300 concubines. And a lot of these women were foreign women. And if you know anything about the Old Testament, you know that specifically God told the kings of Israel not to get involved with foreign women. And this would be just, a general ideal for all of the Israelites to not get involved with foreign women, but especially kings, because why? Well, they impact and influence his decisions and his behavior. And you saw this with King Solomon, actually to the point where God said, because of, his corrupted kingdom, because of all these women, God will actually tear it down and the kingdom will split. So this kind of was like a prophecy. King Solomon, he didn't adhere to this at all and experience the consequences of it. But maybe you're asking, Isaac, what does it even mean to give your strength to women? What does it even mean? Well, I think it's a few things. It's your attention, your desire, your sexual energy, your leadership. Now, some of you guys are catching on to this and you're thinking, well, Isaac, this kind of sounds like a simp. Like this kind of sounds like somebody that would, just be a pushover to women that really just needs their attention and their affection. And so they'll just do anything in order to get them to pay attention to them. And this is, definitionally a simp. Now, I think there's an important distinction that needs to take place when we're talking about being a simp. Being kind to a woman is not being a simp, but being a pushover, just giving all your desire and becoming obsessed with her without warrant, really. That is some simp behavior. Those are some simp tendencies. But it's not just those guys that are easily characterized as simps that they have a problem. All of us guys give our power, our strength to women from time to time. I think what's fundamental to understand is that from the Garden of Eden, like the first man, we were called to take dominion. Men are called primarily as doers, right? We are supposed to work. We are supposed to do. We are supposed to subdue, the land, the culture, the nation, to lead, to love. Like these are our callings. When we give away our sexual energy, right? When you goon, right? When you masturbate, that is giving away your sexual energy, the energy that God has given you. When you're giving away your desire to just this woman that you maybe don't even know, you are giving away that energy, that power, that strength that God gave you with the intention to subdue, to work, to pursue one woman in person. But because we get wrapped up in this stuff, and this could be any type of woman online, maybe this is pornography or lust or Instagram models or OnlyFans or just somebody on your Instagram feed, when you get caught up in this, you become neutralized because your energy, your strength, your power has been taken away, and you become captive to those base desires, those base obsessions. This is what Proverbs 6:25 says. Do not desire her beauty in your heart, and do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. So now I want to talk about what kind of guy is most vulnerable to this type of stuff. And I want you to just identify this within yourself. So men that are vulnerable to have their power taken away by women, they exhibit no purpose, no direction, no mission. They just don't have one. They have shame over their lust or their sexual sin, even their physical features like their height or their attractiveness level. There is a deep shame there that keeps us vulnerable to becoming obsessed and captivated and captured by these women. Next piece is lonely. If we don't have a lot of connections in our life, we don't have a lot of those relationships, not just like a romantic relationship, but any kind of relationship, then we're going to look for that escape again online. And hopeless. It kind of sums up all these things. No purpose, feeling shameful, feeling lonely, and you just feel hopeless. So that's when you're susceptible to making the trade. She wants attention, she wants money, she wants fame, and you want a way out. You want an escape. But these kind of men become zombies. They become zombies, and you've met them before. You've met these guys because they're talking about all these girls. They're talking about the pornography they're watching. They've become captivated. They've become captured. But this is not the way it was meant to be. We were made to be fully alive, men fully alive. And I just want you to ask yourself this question. If you were fully alive right now as a man, okay, and you got to write down, I encourage you to write down what that actually means. A man fully alive, alive in his faith, alive in his relationship with God, alive in his relationship with others, alive to himself, to his purpose, like all these things. Would that kind of man be susceptible to becoming obsessed and directing all of his attention and his affection and sexual energy towards random women? No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't need that because he wouldn't be desiring the escape. He wouldn't need the fantasy. So then the question becomes, how do we become this man? Well, I mean, honestly, I think that's part of the direction of this whole channel, is how you can become a man that leads and loves like Jesus, a man fully alive to who you were created to be. But just one place that we can start is learning to combat some of these things that make men vulnerable. No purpose, hopelessness, and shame. The no purpose thing is so dumb because God has given us a purpose. He has given us a mission to glorify him, to image him, to make disciples of all nations, to subdue the earth, to walk in a manner worthy of the calling that you have received. We do have purpose. Then what about shame? Well, you have been given a new name. That's not who you are anymore. You don't have to be characterized by the struggles of your past. You can walk into the future as a new person, as a new creation, not because God's just like, well, you can have a new start, but because he actually took the punishment on your behalf for all your sin, all your screw ups, so that you wouldn't have to bear the weight of that shame anymore, so that you could be new. There's more to it, so let's keep going. We want to be a man fully alive. We were made to be fully alive. Two core needs of every man and woman for that matter, but it's security and significance. We get in trouble when we start looking for these things in the wrong places. This is what makes us vulnerable, when we start looking for it in a girl. Then what happens? Well, there's some guys that they get the affection that they're looking for. And yet, because we're so reliant on this girl to give us our security and significance, two humongous needs of a man, we are anxious about it. We feel this anxiety within our relationship. The other piece is, well, since we're looking for this in a woman, and that's generally where a lot of guys are looking for it, when they experience rejection, they get angry. So this leads us to anger or anxiety. Okay, take these away for a second. We are looking for security and significance, I believe, in all the wrong places. What if we found that in God? What if we found that in God? Security in his love for us, and significance in him saying that we are a child of God, and that we matter, and that we are called on a journey, on a mission to glorify him, to make disciples, that we are part of a royal priesthood, that we are sons and daughters of God. We were made to be fully alive, and we can't be that until we find our security and significance in God. Because until that point, we'll still be looking for that in a girl, and we will experience anger when we're rejected, and anxiety when we're even in a relationship because we're scared of losing that. Look, this is where we want to be, but so often we find ourselves here, having our attention and energy taken from us because we're not heeding the words here in the Bible where it says, do not give your strength to a woman. Do you want to be like Solomon, to invite women into your home, into your life, into your computer, into your phone that destroy kings? Because I believe today God will empower you to stop playing in fantasy land and stop looking for an escape, but actually make your life a life that you want to live, where you are fully alive in Christ.